I said it before and I'll say it again.
That scene, that last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot.
That final scene
Starts now.
Hello, and once again, we're back. That final scene is back. Back from Costa Rica,
Yes.
back from Greece, back from wherever Simon has been.
Back from the depths of illness for
Simon.
Simon.
Really ill.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
had.
I'm at that point where you feel amazing.
Okay, nice.
You forget what it was like to not be ill, and like everything's just extra good.
Oh my god! Yeah, I mean
Nice.
that euphoria.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Euphoria of health.
Yeah, because I was away for a couple of weeks because I was getting my best friend married, and then you were off to Costa Rica
was
for your
on-
How
honeymoon.
was it, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Unreal.
Yeah.
Like one of the craziest places I've ever been. It's like, yeah, it's wild.
Amazing.
I would recommend it to everybody. I'm not going to wank on about it too much because it feels like, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, it was incredible. Getting there is a nightmare and getting back is a nightmare, but an amazing
How were
place.
you on the plane?
Do you know what? Weird. I was saying this to Sophie before you arrived. Weirdly, the 10-hour journey from Charles de Gaulle to San Jose was actually fine. It was the 4 hours to Atlanta and the 7 hours from Atlanta to London that were actually a ball ache. Like it was just, yeah, a nightmare. But I watched a good few movies on the way there, not as many on the way back. I just watched like all of season 3 and 4 of The American Office on the way back.
Amazing.
But I watched some movies on the way there, which was good.
Tell us about them.
The first thing I watched was John Wick 4 again because I thought it's there and it's like 3 hours
Ooh.
long. So I was like, good one to like eat up a good chunk of time at the start of the flight.
Amazing that this film is 3 hours long. Like, I always forget.
know.
Yeah,
It's too long. It's too long. That's the thing. It's too. Watching it again on the second viewing, I was like, yeah, it is too long. And didn't really enjoy it as much. Then I made an even worse decision of watching Guardians of the Galaxy 3 again. And I don't know if it was the altitude, it was the alcohol, it was the Xanax, but I cried on the plane.
Aww.
Literally.
In that film.
Yeah,
a great film. Very moving.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm telling you,
What?
the emotions that film will make you feel
Yeah.
is off the fucking scale.
It's a happy one. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so upset. And then Ellie said to me afterwards, she was like, oh, what did you watch? And I was like, oh, well, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a bad idea. She was like, yeah, I looked over and I saw you and I thought, why are you bothering watching? It's like, I knew you were going to end up crying. And I genuinely, my lip was bleeding because I was biting my lip so hard to try and not literally because they probably would have thought, my God, this guy's having a panic attack on the plane. And I'd be like, no, I'm just crying because this movie makes me so damn emotional. And then I finally watched, they had Dungeons and Dragons. That was one of the things that I watched that I hadn't seen before.
Is that new?
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's like a bizarre cast. It's like Chris Pine and Hugh Grant's in it as like the bad guy.
I watched
And
half of it.
I enjoyed it. It's essentially Lord of the Rings crossed with Ocean's 11, which I kind of didn't mind. It was like inoffensive, kind of like a little bit like Blackadder-ish, you know, like Robin Hood Men in Tights kind of things, you know, like good fun and jolly good shit, all that kind of stuff. And I actually didn't mind it, and it killed another couple of hours. And then we finally landed in Costa Rica. Like, get me off this fucking plane. And then, yeah, as I say, on the way back,
Action
it was just...
packed. A lot of action.
Yeah.
2 films is my limit on a plane. After that, I just can't get into it. I'm like, it's over.
Yeah, well, that was the thing about the third, and that's why I watched Dungeons and Dragons, because I was like, if I'm gonna watch something, it needs to be something I haven't seen, so I can like stay invested in it. So I was just doing that whilst playing Animal Crossing on the way. So that worked quite well.
Yeah, 2 movies probably my limit too. I think the ideal scenario is where you find a new show that is so good you can binge watch it. You can watch like 7 episodes straight.
I was hoping we would have had all of Slow Horses to watch.
Yeah.
But we made the stupid mistake of kind of gradually watching Slow Horses anyway. I thought we'd have a couple of episodes to binge watch, but yeah, they hadn't released the newest episodes by the time we were going, so I would have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And like nothing really had come out at that point. I think they were still releasing Rings of Power, but...
Did you finish it?
Yes, I did finish it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as I say, I finished it. I watched the last 2 episodes.
Okay.
In that I basically skim watched about 5 episodes and then watched the last 2.
Right.
And great to see our friend Simon in there.
Yeah, support.
Shame to see him be mercilessly killed by Sauron, but you know.
Is it gory?
I can't remember how does he die? Does he get stabbed in the
haven't
chest?
seen
I
it,
can't remember. He definitely. Yeah. Simon, write in and tell us. Remind me how you die. I can't remember. But,
is he making noise while he dies?
I think so, yeah. He's an elf. He's got gloriously long hair. He's got a good set of very good wig acting in it. He's got great hair extensions. But yeah, I think I felt the same way I felt at the end of the first season, where I was kind of like, if there isn't another one of these, I don't think I'm going to be too sad about it. Which is a shame, because they've put a lot of money into that fucking thing.
I spoke to a couple of people, because I've been at the London Film Festival for in the past couple of weeks, and I got mixed reactions on the show. I haven't seen second season yet, but it was interesting that the people that haven't enjoyed season 2 are like you, who are like hardcore Lord of the Rings fans. You know, they know their lore. Well, the people that have actually argued that the second season is better are more in the casual viewer, like I just enjoy the action type of viewer, that they've told me that they've enjoyed it more. But yeah, generally the consensus is, if you're Lord of the Rings fan,
that's the weird thing, is that I've seen stuff as well of like people who have been, because obviously like, I mean, Prime are only ever going to post positive things, but like a lot of like people like waxing lyrical about it and saying they thought like, oh my god, like the last couple of episodes are amazing and blah 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 blah. But like, I think I said this about the first season, and I said this about the Halo TV show as well. Like, the worst thing about it, and I think the worst thing you can say about any television show, is just that it's a bit dull.
Yeah.
Like it's just dull. Like that's kind of, I think that's one of the worst things you can say about television. Considering, as I say, I was watching Slow Horses at the same time, and like I think Slow Horses is one of the best things on television. And it's so annoying that it's only 6 episodes a season, and there's like another wait now for the next season to come out. But it's just so good. Whereas Rings of Power is just falls a little bit flat, considering like everything that's come before it. When you look at the 3 films, and
it's not guaranteed it's going to return, right?
No. Well, so initially, I think, now I could be getting this wrong, and please somebody correct me if I'm getting this wrong. I think they had, like, Amazon came out and said, we've got like a 3 or 4 season arc for this. But there was talk, I think, halfway through this season that viewership's down on it. And they spent so much money. Like, I think it might be their most expensive show, because Prime don't make that much, but when they do, they pump a lot of money into it. And I think it might be one of their most expensive ones. So I just don't know if they're like seeing the return on it. So it might be one of those things where they just kind of just like falls to the wayside and they just leave it be. I don't know who else would pick it up. It's not something I could see HBO going anywhere near, especially with especially with them doing Harry Potter. So they've got enough like legacy lore on their hands and legacy fans to worry about.
And then Gollum, of course. Coming up.
I will say, do you know what? Of the things I've watched since we last recorded, and you know, there's 3 words I'm going to say to you, Simon. I'll see your facial reaction. Animated superhero movie.
Good grief.
Good grief. So I watched the second Spider-Man animated film, the Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh.
Now, so for your backstory, Simon, it's Lord and Miller, isn't it? Who made the first one. So these are the guys who made like 21 Jump Street and stuff like that. And they're like a really great like directing kind of producing duo. They made the first one, and it's kind of like a really cool art style. Like, it's really different, and it's not telling the Peter Parker Spider-Man story. It's telling a different one. The second film, A, it made me cry again. I thought it was that good.
It's incredible.
B, it has one of the best soundtracks. Not just like soundtracks of like the music that's in it, but like the score in it is like, you would love it. Like, it sounds incredible. It also has, and I might be going, and listen, people will be like, oh, it's so hyperbolic to say this. I think it has the single greatest animation scene I've ever seen. So there's a bit in it where one of the characters, she like confronts her dad towards the end of the film. And the way they do it, it's like like the color bleeds in and out of the room. So like, it's cool because the movie's almost like, the characters are really well animated, but the backgrounds are almost drawn like comic books in a way. And the way the flow of the scene goes, and the background, and the way it looks, and the way the color changes, I genuinely had to like pause it and rewind it and watch it again, because I've like, and you, Simon, know somebody who's working in video games, I've never seen something animated that like I could have watched the scene without dialogue and you know exactly what's going on just from the way the picture changed. It's crazy. It's like you could watch it as silent film, and it's like amazing. The fact that they didn't win like the best, I don't think they won best animation that year.
They didn't?
No, I don't think they did. I think they lost out to a Pixar film. Is wild, because that one scene alone, I was like, that is like award worthy. Just the performances in it, the way it's written, and then the way it just looks was like, oh my god. Like, as I say, so I wanted to say to you, animated superhero movie, because I know how you feel about superhero films, Simon. Genuinely, I would encourage you to watch both of them, because they are like the outlier for superhero movies.
What's
at
the
minute.
second one called?
So the first one's Into the Spider-Verse, and the second one's Across the Spider-Verse. And like, even though superhero movies are kind of in the shitter at the minute, these films are the outlier. They are like, if you wanted to hang your hat on what like really incredible storytelling can be using those characters, and like what amazing animation can be, these two movies are like the perfect example. Everything that they are the exact opposite of everything that's wrong with superhero movies at the minute. And what's most annoying is that it ends on a fucking cliffhanger, and they still haven't announced when the next one's coming out. So yeah, it was just
beautiful.
Yeah,
I love
insanely
that.
good.
I loved it
So-
more than the first one, and I love the first one.
It's like I try not to recommend superhero movies to you, Simon, because I know there's no point. But this one, I swear to God,
You could
Okay,
watch
I'll
it.
try and
You
watch
could
it.
watch
See
it with
it, like,
Olive
just-
as well. Like, it's that type of Sunday, afternoon.
yeah, 100%.
type of film,
Actually, yeah, you could watch it with Olive. Yeah, and it's like I think you'll just like I think you'll appreciate it. I think you'll appreciate like the craft that goes into it. Like if you're like a movie kind of buff who likes like animation and how things are done, I think you'll really appreciate it.
Yeah. Before I move to Simon, I have to ask, because I haven't seen it yet. Did you see Joker 2?
No, God, no. No. I havenven't bothered. I haven't bothered with Joker 2, and I haven't bothered with Megalopolis, because
Neither.
all I've heard is that both films are atrocious.
I think I'm gonna say Megalopolis first, just because I've heard it's so good it's bad. No, sorry, it's so bad it's good.
I've heard the opposite. I've heard that it's so bad it's just bad.
I've heard that about Joker, but I am gonna watch both of them. But I think I'm gonna wait them out. I don't think I'm gonna go to the cinema to watch them.
Yeah, I don't think I need to see them on the big screen.
Yeah.
I've just heard that like Megalopolis is almost like a parody movie. It's that bad.
That's what
like,
the trailer looks like. Anyway,
yeah, the dialogue in it is supposedly
amazing.
dreadful.
Love is for Francis.
Yeah.
Well, Simon, you better have some.
Yeah, if you've been
Yeah.
ill, come
Yeah,
on,
we-
surely you've
I've
had a lot.
watched-
There must be a gold mine
It's not.
of
Do you know what?
classics.
Give us a Ken Loach record.
Well, I watched two things. One is the film Tree of Life, Terrence Malick's Tree of Life.
Wow. Okay.
It's
How
just,
did you-
it kept coming up in like conversations, and I'd never seen it. And it was a bit like the Lord of the Rings thing, where you there's a hole in your
How
cultural.
does
in your
Tree
lore.
of Life keep coming up in conversations?
Yeah,
I
is
just
that the Hugh Jackman film?
I see it
no, that's the
referen-
Fountain. No, that's the Jessica Chastain and Brad Pitt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just keep seeing it referenced. People talk about it making. I think I read some.
It's like Cloud Atlas.
I read like a paragraph about somebody waxing lyrical about how it changed the way they thought about life.
Right.
People were saying quite hyperbolic stuff about how it resonated with them.
No.
I seen it once. I don't remember a single thing about it.
It's really not what I expected at all. It's like a film that cuts to almost like David Attenborough style nature universe photography for like half an hour or 20 minutes.
Bit of Aronofsky in The Fountain.
Right, okay.
And it's like
great,
it's a big sort of orchestral score, and you kind of see the universe getting made in this kind of CGI sort of semi-arty fashion. And then it goes back to real life again. But it essentially follows this 1950s family where Brad Pitt is the dad of this family, and them and these kids growing up. And I guess a lot of people that talk about how the film really resonated with them are a bit older, and they saw themselves in that in it growing up, just like those kids do in that film. I thought it was quite ambitious, but it didn't really strike a chord with me. I didn't. Basically, it felt like a bit of a religious crusade as well. It felt very religious all the way through, which I felt a bit uncomfortable about.
Interesting. Okay.
That's how I felt about The Whale.
It felt like there was this message that was like poking out all the way through.
Yeah, I think Malik and Aronofsky are very similar in terms of
I think we talked about that when we did the Whale episode. I felt the same thing. I felt really uncomfortable at how like there's this trying to tell this kind of beautiful story, but there's like really just religious undertones of like religion is bad.
I
don't
didn't
like
find it offensive in The Whale, though. I didn't mind. It's kind of fitted the characters there, but in Tree of Life, it felt like, and then the sun was created, and then the water.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's really like the sun, the heavens and the earth kind of thing.
It's quite a very literal,
Biblical,
sort of visual interpretation of the universe getting made.
Yeah.
But but the other thing I've been watching, which I think is genuinely original and the antidote to all this filler bilge that's getting pumped out for the streaming services, is Industry, the HBO BBC series.
I haven't watched Industry since season 2.
Given it a go.
Have you? Which season have you checked out?
So I tried with season 1 a couple of times. I stopped both times because I found the sex of like just annoying. Like there's a sex in every 2 scenes, and I'm like, okay, I get it, Lena Dunham, I get it. Like, you're my girl, but at the same time, I just found it really annoying.
Is Lena Dunham involved in Industry?
I think she directed the first season at least.
Did she?
I think.
Oh wow.
We can fact check that, but I'm pretty sure she's involved with the show. It feels very much like Girls, like, at least season 1. So I found that a bit annoying. I don't know if it gets any better or like they move again, like sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I guess.
Yeah, it's a show that follows these graduates at this fictional investment bank called Pierpoint in the City of London, and it sort of begins. The first season is kind of like almost like a documentary, really. It's sort of shaky camera. It's a very narrow story, and it's about the excesses and the shenanigans that go down as these grads make their way through like various different desks on the trading floor at this investment bank. Some of them are doing like forex trading, some of them are doing sales, and everything's happening, like drug consumption, sex. There's all kinds of like inappropriate behavior, all the kind of stuff you'd expect at an old-fashioned bank. But then I think the story writing and the acting really ramps up. And in season 3, it's just like the first episode is so explosive. It's got more ideas than I think most seasons have in an entire season. It's like they had no shortage of ideas.
That's with Kit Harington, right? That's season.
Yeah, he's in the new season.
Kit Harington plays this horrendous man called Henry Muck, and he's this like aristocrat that has this
some nominative determinism there.
And he has this season 3 he's a star sort of actor in season 3 where he's created this clean energy business, and Pierpoint are doing its initial public offering. It all goes to shit basically, and all sorts of stuff happens. But I thought it's a brilliant piece of writing and like an example of I think it reminded me a bit of, have you guys ever seen The Smartest People in the Room, the Enron documentary?
No.
It's a really good film about the collapse of Enron. And there's a bit of that in it, and there's also a bit of The Big Short.
I've heard great things about season 3, and I love workplace dramas, which is a shame I couldn't get past season 1. I don't know, I may just take the plunge for the 3rd time, but I may just skip through the sex scenes because it's fun.
There's lots of phone jeopardy I found in the first season. There's lots of people like talking on phones being like, but I'll buy it at 10. No, you'll buy it at 5. Like, okay, phone jeopardy. Yeah, great.
So you've seen season 1?
I've watched season 1, and I think me and Ellie watched a bit of season 2. I can't remember if we finished it because there was a bit of a gap, I think, between 2 and 3 because one of the girls in it went off to do the Amy Winehouse film.
Marissa Arbella.
Yeah. She was. She played Amy Winehouse in that film.
I tried to watch a bit of that film and I just turned it off.
I didn't.
I watched 10 minutes.
I didn't read any necessarily good reviews about it. I don't think.
I think for me, it's up there with I May Destroy You, Fleabag, and Industry are probably my favourite bits of TV in the last few years, I'd say.
Really, on top of stuff like Succession and all
I think
those
so.
things?
Yeah, I really loved Succession, but this is pretty cool, I think.
I think about Succession every 2 or 3 months and just think, God,
I know.
I can't remember. Something will spark in my head and I'll just go, fuck me, I miss watching that TV show. That was so good. Yeah.
I wish I could just erase my memory and watch it from again.
I wish I could I occasionally will just watch the last 20 minutes of the last episode every now and again.
I know.
I genuinely think like it was like perfect. That last season was like perfect television. Yeah.
It's my Roman Empire Succession.
Well, how was LFF? Can you give us like a brief overview?
Yeah, I can give you like a very quick reaction. So first week I didn't see a lot of stuff, but second week I really ramped up. So first week, very quickly, I saw the new Steve McQueen film, which I was really excited about because I love Shame, I love Hunger, I love 12 Years a Slave. And he came out with a complete dud that is Blitz. It's about the Blitz period in World War II. Well, London was getting bombed. I found it, in 2 words, shockingly conventional. It had nothing to say. I think the film critics agree with me. I knew a couple of people that enjoyed it just because it told the story from the POV of a child that was Saoirse Ronan's child. But yeah, I just found it very predictable and the characters were written like caricatures. So I was annoyed by that. But then my second viewing was the best film that I've seen at the festival. And I think it's the film one that it has Simon all over it. Like, Simon, you're going to love that film. Like, if you love Poor Things, which again is not, extreme, like it's not absurd like that, but it has a similar vibe. It won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, and it's by Sean Baker, who did Tangerine, if you've heard of it.
No.
You're going to love Tangerine as well.
Did you say Sam Baker?
Sean Baker.
Sean Baker.
Sean Baker. He's an American filmmaker. That's his third film. I think you're going to love his first two, but this one is the best one yet. So this one is getting a lot of buzz. I think we're going to see it at the Oscars. So this is about this sex worker played by Mike Madison. That's her first starring role. We've seen her in a couple of things. Who meets this 21-year-old Russian oligarch at the strip club she works in. They decide to get married because why not? Well, they're drunk and having lots of sex, and his billionaire parents don't actually know that their son got married to a stripper. So they send the bad guys out to get them and to annul the marriage. So the film takes place in the course of a 24-hour, time period, and I would call it like a rated R comedy because it feels like a Hangovers but rated R. Yeah. And then it has a gut punch of an ending, which is just shocking. Like, it's one of those films that credits roll and everyone's like almost a Requiem for a Dream type of ending, which is amazing because it did what Reindeer did so well. It went from comedy to great drama.
Leaves the cinema in complete silence.
Yeah, and just crying. So incredible filmmaking. And then very quickly, second week, I watched The Assessment, which I think you both are gonna like. It's with Elizabeth Olsen and Alicia Vikander. She's back, and I really enjoyed her performance. Sci-fi film. It's about, we're in the near future and we can't have kids anymore. The only way to have kids is to get approval by the government. And to do that, you need to have an assessor come to your house and live with you for 7 days to assess whether you're fit for a child that you're going to be given. And the assessor is Alicia Vikander, and then Elizabeth Olsen with her husband have to live with her for 7 days. And it's very creepy. Creepy drama,
Children
sci-fi.
of Men kind of vibes.
Yeah, but it also, I don't want to say anymore. Yeah, it's really well done. And then the other film that I wanted to call out was Maria, which is the new Pablo Larraín film. Like, he's a director who did Jackie and Spencer with Kristen Stewart. And Maria is played by Angelina Jolie. And it tells a story of this really famous Greek opera singer, Maria Callas, that I grew up with. So to me, it felt very emotional to see her story come to life. So Pablo tells the story of the final days of Maria. And I know he's not the filmmaker for everyone. Like, I personally really liked Spencer and Jackie, but I love how he takes those women that are sort of in power, but not quite in power. Like, they're in proxy power, through powerful men, but never get
not in their own right.
They don't have control of their own lives. And I think he's doing a really good job at that, because before we started recording, me and Ben were talking about biopics and how we're sick of them. And I was thinking, if you want to do a biopic, don't just give me the documentary version of of a singer or of an actor. Just pose some difficult questions about this person's life and maybe use their story as a vehicle to just tell me something different. And I appreciate how Pablo does that. Again, his films are not for everyone, but I really enjoyed that one.
I think
Angelina is really good.
If Priscilla hadn't been made, that feels like prime kind of fodder for him. Like feels like the kind of story he would tell.
Yeah, and I hope he does Monroe properly next, because he deserves a better film than Blonde.
Yeah.
from what I've heard, haven't seen it, but I'm gonna write a full-on piece on my reactions from Elephant, because I watched a bunch of films. But yeah, overall, like really, really good selection of films. I wish I had seen more foreign ones, because I stuck to American, British ones. Mike Lee as well, but I'm gonna take this offline with you, Simon. Yeah, because I could talk about this forever. But a really good return.
Cool.
From Mike Lee.
I'm really looking forward to seeing The Room Next Door. You guys heard about that?
Which one's that?
The new Almodovar film.
Yeah.
I
I'm
missed
glad
that
you
one.
said his name before I did, because I was going to get it pronounced wrong.
Pedro Almodovar.
I really like his films.
I
I've
love
watched
him.
nearly all of them, and I'm hoping this is going to live up to like things like Talk to Her and all that.
Yeah, I missed that one.
He has a really good distinct style,
Yeah, and again,
He must be quite old now, because I remember watching those films when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He's been cracking out films for a long time.
He looks young though. I mean,
maybe he was young when he began.
Maybe in his like 60s, maybe?
I would assume so. Yeah. He's also doing a great job at, telling stories of women without, forcing his perspective down our throats. I think he's doing a really good job at that.
What's this?
It's a movie.
No!
Oh, I liked it.
No!
Can I say something?
No!
I don't get it.
What don't you get about it?
So are we ready for Gladiator 2? Before we move into the actual,
Am I ready for Gladiator?
Does it need to be made?
Reviews are good.
So I know reviews are good, but even if though reviews are good, that is my biggest question about it. Did we need to make Gladiator 2?
No, you never need a sequel.
Because I actually think, having rewatched Gladiator, it's kind of perfect on its own. Like, it doesn't need another one.
It was of its era. In that moment when it came out, the soundtrack, Hans Zimmer was just beginning to become this mega composer. The Lisa Gerrard thing. The way it all came together in that time with that CGI in that zeitgeist, it was amazing.
Like, my biggest
now
worry...
it's a different era, isn't it?
My biggest worry about the second one is that, like, character-wise, it's just a carbon copy remake of the first one, it feels like.
But you guys, we had a child literally waiting to have his story told 20 years later.
Yeah, but did we, though? Having
Who's the child?
Yeah, but,
He's the child.
but having rewatched it, though, now maybe I've missed it in the watching it. At what point does she tell him that it's his son?
I mean, I don't know.
Have we just made that up? Because isn't that the whole thing? Because he's got the armor now in the second one. Is there not something in the trailer where she's like, it's your father's legacy or some shit?
I thought it didn't need to be said. I just assumed...
But you know what? If it is his son, that makes the whole thing... Well, you know what? We'll talk about this.
Yeah, let's go. Let's dive into it. Yeah,
that makes it really weird, because Maximus'
Spoilers for Gladiator.
Yeah,
because you haven't seen it 25 years later.
You haven't seen it fucking 20 years later.
Yeah, whatever.
So, but one of the biggest things in Gladiator is about him going back to his family and getting back to his wife and his son.
Yes.
If it turns out he has a child with another woman essentially the same age as his son, probably means he was cheating on his wife. It really undervalues Maximus as a character.
I mean,
who was built up as the general, the leader of men, the proud father.
Well, I mean, in terms of his moral compass, I mean, how many people has he murdered in that
let's
show?
be honest.
Anyway?
Well, in the name of Rome,
everyone had a mistress. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I do
in Roman times, didn't most men just shag other men for pleasure, and then only shagged women just to make children?
Yeah, exactly, Ridley. So when are we going to see that part? When are we going to see Paul Mescal in bed with Pedro Pascal?
Maybe that's what it's going to be.
Maybe that's what it's going to be.
The Mescal-Pascal triangle.
You may be onto something.
Yeah. Oh my God, can you imagine a Denzel Pedro Mescal three-way?
Gladiator 2, it just makes me just yawn. Like, it's like going to watch ABBA in hologram. It's like they've had their moment. We don't need to keep flogging these dead horses that have had their time.
The thing is, I have no doubt that there will be incredible set pieces in it, but I
don't know
why. The word set piece makes me go.
Can I just? Okay, obviously we haven't seen the second film, but what excites me the most for some reason, it's not even Pedro or Paul. Oh my God, even though dreamy duo. It's Denzel Washington's character. Like, there's something about him in the trailer that's new and interesting that I haven't seen from him in a while. You know how these veteran actors sort of give up on acting after a certain point. Many of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Denzel, it's like, ooh, you're doing something interesting here, and I'm curious to see what you're doing.
Well, is he doing something interesting,
I
or
don't know.
is he doing what Oliver Reed does in the first film? Like, that's my worry is that yes, it'll be amazing.
Is
but
Oliver
reason-
Reed the slave salesman?
Yeah, who's brilliant.
And then he the one that died halfway through.
He died.
Yeah.
Because that's what's really funny is
Yeah.
so rewatching it. There's a bit at the end, and I think maybe this isn't the full edition because I only noticed it towards the end because I was rewatching the ending on my way here today. That I had rented the director's cut on Apple, so maybe I'd gotten a longer bit.
Okay.
And Oliver Reed, to go into Gladiator, the first Gladiator, the whole kind of crescendo of the film is Maximus is going to be broken out. There's this whole plot to overthrow Commodus, who is Joaquin Phoenix's character. That, Commodus finds out, this gets scuppered. Basically, all these people are either captured or killed. Maximus is captured, blah, blah, blah. And the slave owner, Oliver Reed's character, is killed as well. And these soldiers come in and surround him. You never see the front of his face because clearly Oliver Reed has died at this point, so it's a body double. And then it cuts to a forward shot of him, but the lighting is different. It all looks different. And the people standing behind him are clearly different. And he just says something that's completely like you can't really hear what he's saying. And then it cuts back to this shot of them behind him and then he gets stabbed to death.
Oh, yes.
It reminds me of when, I don't know if you've ever done this, watch Titanic again as an adult.
No.
And there's like a panning shot of the ship that's CGI and it's so
There's some
chunky.
there's some real dodgy CGI.
But as a child, I was so swept up in it.
So
I was like,
exactly.
this is amazing.
So again, and once after this has all happened, Max's business has been captured. All these people have been captured or killed. It cuts to a really dreadful CGI shot of Joaquin Phoenix standing in front of a balcony looking over Rome that is so fake. But actually, it goes into then a brilliant scene with Joaquin Phoenix and Connie Nielsen where and Lucius where he's first of all where he's like telling the boy about the story of someone being betrayed and all this kind of stuff. And then a great scene where he's like it's what's the maddest thing about Gladiator in the history of that film is the fact that that's not the film that Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar for.
Yes.
Like when it got to Joker and it was like he has to win, blah blah blah. He should have won for Gladiator because he's better than Russell Crowe in that film. Like he's the only reason Russell Crowe wins is because he's the lead actor in the film.
Yeah.
Like Joaquin Phoenix is, and for what that would have been one of his kind of like first maybe major roles, really, like kind of like early 2000s or like late 90s.
Yeah.
And he's amazing, like especially towards the end where he is like he has lost it and has like turned into this like megalomaniac and he's like It's exactly what he is.
A weasel
he's like
and a snake.
There's a bit where he's like screaming in her face that like about how he is like I can't remember what he calls it. It's like Commodus, like the it's not like I don't know what it is like the remorse, like giving forgiveness type shit. That's what he wants to be, because all the emperors want to be remembered as the vengeful or the blah blah blah, and his is whatever it is about like giving forgiveness to his sister, and he's like screaming in her face that like she has to love him after he's told her like you're going to have my children, you're going to be my heir, and you're going to essentially watch me imprison your son for the rest of his life. And it's like he's like, oh my god, he's incredible. And somehow he doesn't fucking win an Oscar for it.
Yeah, but you know what? You realize how little significance Oscars actually have in the long term. Because when you look back, let's be honest, who the fuck remembers Russell Crowe got an Oscar for The Gladiator? Like,
I know,
probably more people remember his A Beautiful Mind Oscar.
Yeah.
Because it was more hyped and again, like...
Yeah.
But... everyone looks back on these two and it's like, oh my god, Joaquin is clearly the standout. Even though, again, Russell Crowe understood the assignment. Let's be honest.
100%. And they're a great, like they dovetail one another really well. Like they play both characters really well. And that's what worries me about the next one is that actually, like, how can you have a better villain than Commodus, because he's such a he's so brilliant. Like the son who murders his father and takes control and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously.
He's the ultimate backstabber, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's how it ends, right? Like it ends with his idea to get the crowd back on side.
That's amazing. This idea is incredible.
He will fight Maximus in the Colosseum, and he will beat him, and the crowd will love him, because that's all it's about for him. It's to be loved by Rome.
Can I ask a question here? Because before we move into the final scene, that's the one thing I don't get about his motivation behind the decision, because he's not an idiot. Like, clearly he knows how great of a warrior Maximus is.
Yeah.
Does he think so highly of himself? Is he so delusional that he thinks
Well,
he's
no,
gonna go?
but that's why he then then he stabs him in the ribs.
He
stabs him.
injures him, doesn't he? Or
Yeah,
he drugs him or something.
Yeah.
No, he stabs him in the ribs with a knife. And
he
he tells
weakens,
them
yeah.
he tells them put his armor on him and cover up the
It's
wounds.
a bit
Yeah.
like
See
in
it.
bullfighting, where they basically drug the bull and then they look really strong.
You would think he's such a anyway. Yeah, he
But
undermined.
like the whole film is he's so delusional.
Yeah,
like, I mean, you look at the
yeah.
whole thing is like,
Right.
you know, this mad grasp for power. He like murders his father. Is in love with his sister.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You know, needs there's a great scene. One of the scenes in it where I think it's, you know, the scene before, the famous scene where it's like, I'm Maximus, just all that fucking bollocks. The scene before that, and his bloodlust is crazy as he's watching it. Like he's relishing in all these people being torn to pieces.
Love is for him.
He's just
Yeah.
mad. Like
Yeah.
he's crazy.
Actually, I do think about this sometimes. The idea that when is it long enough ago that we can like call these people in history that murder millions of people in the name of their empire, you know, successful. So I remember like at school in history, they'd be like, oh, so-and-so emperor had a very successful campaign, it was brilliant and did this and that. And it basically like, it was genocide.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it's like, obviously in the current day, like we're not watching Putin annex Ukraine and be like, oh, he's brilliant. Like
Yeah.
what a great alpha guy.
Well, history is written by the victors, though, isn't
Exactly. So it's like how there seems to be this thing where you can go back in time and suddenly you view it very differently.
Yeah, I think it also depends the type of language you use, because successful, yes, according to them.
Yeah.
As in, it was successful, as in they were successful in their mission
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kill millions of people.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yes, all those Germans, the Saxo barbarians or whatever they're called, that get slaughtered at the start of the film.
Right.
Probably
Yeah.
don't
I just
think they're
always
that
think of that because,
successful.
like, it's like in the history lessons, that you like taught about them like they were legends and heroes.
Yeah.
And it's like actually, it's pretty grim.
Yeah.
Well, and Ridley Scott loves to kind of glorify those people. He loves a good like historical.
Because even in
epic.
Gladiator, like you're feeling sad for Oliver Reed when he gets that stabbed, but he's a fucking slave.
He's a slave
dealer.
owner, yeah, he's a slave
It's like,
owner, yeah.
come on. But I guess in his day, he was all right. He was one of the good guys.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, because he lets one go for it.
Yeah, like maybe
You know.
he's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
but you also have
It's
to
all
be,
in the context.
I mean,
Well, that's the I think the last thing Maximus says to him. What's his name is like Proximus or something like that. He says, "Careful, Proximus, you're starting to become a good man," or something like that.
Right,
Like
yeah.
he says something along those lines to him, you know.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what's so good about Oliver Reed in it, is that like there's never any assumption other than this guy's an asshole. But it's he's like there's something so like. Which is crazy about Oliver Reed, because when you read about like his personal life and like the struggles he had with alcohol and stuff, as soon as he's like on camera, he's like the most charismatic, like especially
He's
in
got it.
like in Gladiator, you can't not watch him the scenes that he's in, like the scene where he's talking about the Colosseum and like you know the greatness of it, like that scene kind of in the middle of the film where he's explaining to Maximus like why you have to do this and why you have to get the crowd on side. You know, it's not just about winning; it's like they have to love you. Like he's brilliant. Like he's so good. It's just but yeah, an asshole. Like he owns people, and not only does he own people, he's also the people he owns. He just puts them out there to die. Like, it's really dreadful.
Yeah. So why don't you recap the ending for us? Because ultimately the film ends in an optimistic note in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
At least in the present.
Well,
that
I remember
moment.
blubbing at the end when I was like
Really?
a teenager. Yeah, because
Interesting.
he obviously never makes it back to see his family.
So essentially,
No, his family is gone.
Well,
they're
family's
all
dead,
burnt, aren't they?
He murdered.
he finds them hanged. Yeah,
Oh, they're
he finds their
that's
bodies
right,
hanging. Yeah,
in the
And
beginning
they
of the
burn
film.
his buildings down and everything.
Because essentially, like at the
Yeah.
start of the film, he's double crossed by Commodus, but he escapes. And by the time he gets back to his family his wife and child have been killed. And there's kind of these like, he has these almost dreams and hallucinations throughout the film of him walking through the wheat fields and seeing them in the distance.
Yeah.
And like them kind of...
I found that very emotional. And also the little bag with the dolls in. I used to be like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the color grading is so beautifully...
Yeah, it's
like,
very golden,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, like angelic almost.
And I think the Hans Zimmer, Lisa Gerrard soundtrack really.
Yeah.
What's
helps.
funny though is what I
It's
noticed.
quite cheesy actually. I listened to some of it.
Well,
it's quite cheesy. chord progressions.
It's essentially also the same as the Pirates of the Caribbean. You
Is
put
it?
the two of them side by side. So in the fight
Yes,
scenes,
that's
it's
what-
like
That's what I thought too.
like it's the
the
like the action
same thing.
sequences. It's the same
I
as Pirates of
bought
the
the album
Caribbean.
when I was like a kid, and I used to listen to it on my headphones and like reenact the film in my head.
Oh, dude! I mean, didn't we all? But
Also, there was something so like reassuring about Maximus. Like
yeah,
Russell Crowe's voice is so deep and kind of
he has a
confident.
Good, he's got good gravel in him.
He's
yeah.
just like the guy you want on your side when the chips are down.
Also, watching it, like rewatching it today, and looking at the world we live in and society and all the good stuff. He's a great model for men. When you think about, like, he's what again.
Serial killing.
No,
Strength and honor.
yeah.
I know what you mean.
That sort
yeah.
of stoicism, but also having values, having ideals, having honor.
Yeah.
Loving his family.
He's very much. He's kind of the archetypal soldier, isn't he? He's like he's
Yeah.
driven by a code. There is like this is what I live by.
He's
like
driven-
Bond
he's driven
as well.
by
He's
wanting
got
to do well by his
he's got
family,
some-
isn't he?
He's got some great one-liners in it as well.
He does. He does.
Like there's a bit like about at the end where like Commodus says to him before he stabs him about like smiling and staring death in the face or something like that, and like murdering a friend, and he has a line about his father, and that's just like it's so good. He can cut you down.
Yeah.
In Gladiator 1, are there American accents?
Not really.
Because I'm thinking
I mean,
Denzel. Like, it's like I'm not going to make it.
They
bit
could, but
weird.
in the same way that they do. Well, essentially, they do like British accents, though. Almost, they kind of do like
Feels more
faux,
Latin
like,
somehow.
regal
I mean, yeah,
kind
it's
of
not like
accents.
it's not like any of them is original or
Correct. Yeah,
correct.
maybe Italian or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they may as well speak Polish.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius. Like it's not that. Like he's like Russell Crowe is just.
I
kind
just
of
can
like
imagine if Denzel's in it, there'll be like an American flag like flopping out of a window during some like
Yeah,
sequence. And
I'd rather show up with American accents, to be honest. Like they pull whatever they tried to pull in Troy, which was, I mean, again, unless you speak ancient Greek, like you're just
exactly.
not gonna. Like,
you kind of just have to accept it. Yeah, and there's no
like-
point. And unless you do it then with a whole like Italian cast, there's no point doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, and so
That would
I
be
guess
amazing. You bring
can
Adam
you
Driver
imagine?
and Lady Gaga instead from House of Gucci.
yeah, like everyone they all have to they go method and have to live as Italians for the year. That would be amazing.
We're Daniel Day-Lewis from retirement.
Yeah, well, he is coming out of retirement,
I know
isn't he?
he
He's
is.
starring in his
Amazing.
son's film. Yeah,
I know, yeah.
But essentially, how it ends is they have the fight. Somehow, Maximus kills Commodus, even though he's been like gravely wounded. And it basically turns on. Connie Nielsen comes out and has this great speech about like, can one man die for Rome? Blah 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 blah. All the men who had been captured and the senators who'd been captured are freed. And Maximus before he falls and dies, he challenges them to rebuild Rome in Richard Harris, who was Marcus Aurelius, rebuild it in his vision. And whilst we're getting this kind of like switching in between him seeing his family kind of stuff, like he's seeing them going to him, and I guess that's the whole thing. I think Connie Nelson says to him like, "You've gone home now," as he kind of dies, and that's what
alluding to heaven or something.
yeah, exactly. Well, because all he's
Go
ever
to-
wanted to do is be with his family.
Yeah, go to them.
And that's what we see them. We see his son and his wife's faces as the boy runs towards him, and it's kind of very symbolic. But then the actual final bits are so they, in a very symbolic way, Maximus's body is carried out of the Colosseum by the soldiers and all these people who are about to do what go and try and rebuild Rome, while Joaquin Phoenix is left in the dirt in the middle of the arena just bleeding to death.
Fuck that guy.
And then what a guy.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then is it? I hope I'm pronouncing the actor's name. Is it Jimon Honsu?
Don't quote me on that. Juba. I mean, that's the
That's the character's name. His final thing is Maximus has throughout the film has. So you alluded to this. He has the two lit. He has a doll of a woman and a doll of a little boy.
I love this scene.
And he buries the dolls in the arena and says, I'll see you again,
But not yet.
but not yet." And that's kind of cut to black.
I was
Iconic.
full blub when he says that end bit.
Same.
Yeah.
He's also iconic actor generally, but
He's
so,
fantastic,
yes,
but
fantastic.
I think that's his best. That's his best performance. I
Yeah,
think. He's
so
amazing.
good. Yeah.
So it's quite it kind of ends in stages, really. Like kind of. winds down quite nicely.
Yeah, it's interesting because my main takeaway from that ending is that, I mean, in retrospect, is a very quote-unquote predictable ending. Like, is there a world where the film that ends without Maximus dying? No, right? Like, it doesn't work.
Well, I don't know. I did wonder about that. Is there like an I Am Legend style director's
We've
cut?
had James Bond get killed off.
Yeah.
Well,
But
yeah.
is there an I Am Legend style director's cut where there's another ending where he just doesn't die?
Yeah, we just know Ridley Scott, like, he's a massive, like, Shakespeare fan. I think he always intended to have Maximus die. I think that was his intention.
Yeah.
Like, it was the hero journey, like, dying hero. Like, because
Well,
there were so many things that were going wrong one in his life, and when in the grand scheme of things, moral decay in Rome,
Yeah.
all of those things, there needed to be some sort of sacrifice for justice to be restored, like hope to be restored, like restoration and liberation of the people from whatever his name is, Commodus. And also on a personal level, he had lost everything and everyone.
Well, exactly. So like that's
so-
the thing is Maximus is getting his happy ending.
Yeah,
Realistically.
Yeah.
Like it's
his purpose is fulfilled.
Yeah, it's
Well,
an interesting way of looking at it. And like death is
In the way that the film presents it, you mean it looks like he goes to heaven?
I mean,
well
it's
exactly.
in
And
this-
I
I
guess
don't
Yes.
personally believe that's what happens when you die, but
no, I
guess
know you don't. But also
in
when
the
you think
film,
about
it seems reasonable.
but if you think about the context of the film and
Yeah.
like Roman mythology and what people in ancient Rome would have believed about where you go when you die.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
He very much believes, like, even though
Yeah.
it's clearly all a hallucination, his wife and child are dead. He's gonna rot on the ground. Like, it is what it is. But
And
like
yeah.
he thinks he is going to his peaceful ending.
Yeah. And also I think deep down he knows that there has to be a sacrifice for things to
Improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so you have the death, which is obviously the physical death, but then you have the symbolic aspect of it, which is almost like it comes through with the supporting characters. You have the moral aspect, right? You have the ideal aspect in terms of values, and then you have Gracchus in the final moments as well. Derek Jacobi.
Yeah, Derek Jacobi. Well, he's the one who
yeah.
he's the one who says, "Who will help me carry him?"
Yeah,
as
exactly.
They carry the body out of the arena.
So it's almost like Maximum leaves behind his death, quote unquote, on the shoulders of these people to pick up, whatever needs to be done next, which is
it's
restore Rome.
it's the foundation.
It's the foundation, and it goes back with Shakespearean principles of death is seen as moral resolution than anything else.
He also
it's
died with the moral high ground as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So in my head, it's an interesting question. Like, is there a scenario where neither of them die, or just one of them dies?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have the same impact, I think, if one of them had died either way. What do you think?
What if one dies and one lives?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any story the way that ends in which Commodus lives. I don't think.
That would be so...
That's a really grim ending.
Grim.
That Maximus dies, Commodus starts sleeping with his sister, and Lucius is essentially a boy who's just a slave for the rest of his life. I think that's a pretty grim ending to the film that even Ridley Scott wouldn't subject you to.
Yeah, even that's probably very realistic for back in the day. But
But I think... Yeah, it'd almost feel... I think in a way that it... And going back to the fact that it has a sequel, I think if you left him alive, you're kind of be like, what will happen next? Whereas to tie that story nicely, like in a bow, here it is, this lovely package of what Gladiator is, where you kill him off, and then it's done.
I think if
And now
Gladiator
they need
1
a sequel.
If Gladiator 1 was made today, they would have left it far more open at the end.
Exactly.
There was no easy package to continue the story.
Well,
in
it would be
Gladiator
like
1 as it stood.
Have you seen all the TikToks of like it's the Michael Bay ending where it's like you think the main character's dead and then it's like the eye, like the hand moves, like that's what had happened.
A flicker.
Like Maximus would be lying on the ground and then he'd just go, his eyes would open and then but then it would cut to black and then that would be the end.
I'm so done with
That's the end of it. We don't know what's and then and then at the end it's like Bond that says Maximus will return.
Once he's recovered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Maximus has a short recovery and then returns to fighting for the glory of Rome.
In Venom, Venom 3.
Yeah, exactly. And then the second movie
With Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, get rid of Denzel out of the movie and bring in Wesley Snipes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gladiator 2, in order to be even remotely successful, needs to just be its own film. Like it can't.
Yeah.
There's no way it can just continue anything.
I have to say, even though I'm still rooting for that film, I'm also very surprised it's getting good reviews, because maybe it's because we just rewatched Gladiator, and I'm thinking, is Scott going to do a reenactment of Gladiator? Like, are we gonna see like same scenes, which we're probably going to, like iconic scenes in the Colosseum?
Like.
But then I'm interested in the ending of Gladiator too. Like, is it gonna be a similar ending?
There's going to be a chariot going round really fast, and its wheel's going to be almost coming off.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be some tension.
Then it's going to hit 88 miles an hour, and it's going to time travel, blast through into 1989.
Well, we're gonna have sharks in Gladiator too. So
Yeah, don't worry. I've already watched videos, people talking about that, being like, "This is the biggest lot of bullshit I've ever seen in my life."
I mean, but at the same time, you know what? It's from the same director. You have to trust the process.
But I think,
True.
and so going back to how Gladiator ends, right? Maximus's death, you know, I can't remember Connie Nielsen's character's name. She's kind of free.
Lucilla,
yeah, something like that is free. Lucius is free. Commodus is dead. Rome is to be rebuilt.
yeah,
They kind of have, like, for a sequel to work, as you say, Simon, unless you're making it something completely different, they kind of have to now go and tear down that ending.
yep. They
They have to go. Rome has to be fucking shit again.
Yeah.
Okay, we tried the democracy thing. Maximus died. It was kind of all in vain. He died. We tried it. Fuck it. There's two mental twins who are now the emperors. And Lucius and Lucilia, or whatever her name, have been banished off to some other place, what it seems to be. And it's kind of like, yes, okay, I get that the film's going to be great, but does that kind of sully how it was? Like, in the weirdest way, if you wanted to do it, you probably could have done a prequel.
Right.
Like, that's why I really like Furiosa, because I was like,
Yeah.
they didn't do a sequel to Fury Road.
Yeah.
They actually went and took another character and they did a prequel to it.
Yeah.
And it was much more interesting. And it made those two films as a whole, as like one package, those two together, like a really great piece of storytelling. How do Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2 fit together without Gladiator 2 essentially ripping down the ending of Gladiator 1, you know?
I think historically it tracks what you're saying. Like, because I don't know why, when I rewatched Gladiator, by the end, I came away with a feeling, oh, I feel like even though hope is restored, why did I get a chance that it's all temporary? I don't know why I had that feeling that, oh, yeah, sure, you're going to have a few good years. But clearly, like, you saw all these people craving blood and drama and death. Like, people don't just, like, an entire society
People
doesn't
don't just change.
Entire societies don't just change because someone died for honor and for, like, you know what I mean?
For
like,
strength and honor.
For strength and honor, yeah. So to me, for some reason, that felt, even though a good quote-unquote ending, a temporary good ending, so I could see what you're saying, tracking from a historical point of view.
And I would say this is
because the
probably
Roman
how
Empire decays ultimately, right? So
I'd say that's how Ridley Scott will justify it as well.
Yeah.
If he's asked, I guess he probably will be asked about it when it's
Glancing at Reddit, it says skirts, muscles, Denzel, 3 strong wins there. and then someone's replied, it's spelt mescal.
Lovely.
I think that's all you need to know.
listen,
Nice.
I'm sold. And if,
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I wonder, obviously now, you know, if you think about like stuff like the Star Wars sequels and prequels, those big gaps, this must be one of the longest gaps between original film and first sequel.
Yes, didn't have something else recently that was a bit like that. I'm trying.
Blade Runner probably would have been a big gap.
Blade Runner is a real good one.
As in, like, if for just 2 films, right? Like a 1 and a 2. This must be a fairly, because it's what, Gladiator 2000 or 2002?
Fucking hell.
Yeah, 2000.
Is it 2000? So
Yeah.
like 24 years for a sequel. It's a pretty big gap.
Yeah, which I like.
Blade Runner's probably more, because Blade Runner's 80s, wasn't it? And then the must
I
be
like
30 years in Blade Runner.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're bringing a couple of actors from the original, like
Who other than Connie Nielsen's in it?
someone else. Not Jimon. I don't think
No, I don't think
he's not
he's in
coming
it.
back.
Because the main cast is Joseph Quinn, and I can't remember who
Yes.
the other guy is as the emperors. I think the weird thing is I think they could do a really good job because I think Joseph Quinn's great, and the other guy who I don't know him from much, but he seems to be quite good.
Yeah,
Pedro Pascal's amazing and everything.
Yeah.
I agree that the Denzel Washington casting is a bit of a rogue choice. I will say, having watched the trailers, why Mescal's character is a different person, but his voice feels like he's trying to impersonate Russell Crowe from the first one.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't catch that, but yeah,
he's talking
Is
like
he?
this in a
Okay.
very deep, low voice. It's kind of feels like he's almost like trying to impersonate him a little bit, and I don't really get that. He didn't need to do the whole deep gravelly voice thing. Maybe he felt like he did, but I don't know. Feels like a little bit of an impersonation almost.
The fun fact that I didn't know was that apparently Ridley Scott saw normal people and
Thought,
Oh, that's a bit steamy.
this boy knows how to handle a sword. Let's get him in Gladiator.
Exactly, that was hilarious. That was his. I mean, of all the. He hasn't done that many, to be honest. But
He's not
a
big guy, is he? He's not like a muscle man.
But neither.
Mescal.
But neither was Russell Crowe before he
Russell
buffed.
Crowe looks chunky in it though.
He buffed up.
He did, but he's not massive in it. But
My memory of him is he's huge.
He's not. Well,
He's
he's wearing quite
He's
chunky
lean.
armor. Yeah, he's lean.
Right.
Yeah, he's wearing quite chunky armor. He's not necessarily like very muscly or anything like that. And Mescal seems to be the same. He seems to have bulked up a little
looking
bit.
at these photos, he's pretty stacked.
Yeah. Oh no, he's
Mescal.
Mescal. Yeah. He looks like he's properly like
a Roman statue.
got
Yeah.
him jacked.
Nice.
Oh, listen, he's beautiful.
He's been shredding.
Yeah, he's been hitting the gym hard.
Keto diet has been
Yeah,
working.
he's on keto. Yeah,
Yeah.
like every true great Roman soldier. I'm 3 weeks into ketosis and fighting lions.
Terrible breath.
Yeah, but damn, I do love pork chops. I don't know. I'm really interested to see what they do. I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
But I almost think I've spoiled it for myself now by rewatching the first Gladiator because
Really?
I'm like.
Okay.
I'm up for rewatching the first one.
Trust me, do. It's so, especially like the opening couple of sequences in, like the opening couple of sequences in are great. Like they're really, really good. And Joaquin, we rewatch it just for Joaquin Phoenix, but I do wonder as it's made me more cynical going into the next one, remembering now what the first one is. Yeah. It's making me more cynical going into why do we need another one? And if you wanted to do this, does it need to be a sequel or could you have just told another story, you know?
Yeah. I think the healthy attitude is to just try to see it as its own film. It's a shame that it's called Gladiator 2. Like I wish it was called something else almost, you know.
Gladiator Part 2.
Just like a different...
Le deuxième Gladiator.
The Colosseum. Just a different film entirely. But yeah, I'll just go in and try to enjoy it for what it is and try not to compare it too much with the original.
I think that's going to be hard. Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me. I think it's going to be trying not to compare it to the original is going to be the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Because having said that, I was going to say I have full confidence in Ridley Scott. I saw Napoleon last year. and did not really enjoy that.
His last few films have been sort of questionable. Even though I still intend to see The Last Duel that I've heard great things about.
It's on Netflix, isn't it?
Do you say Duel?
Yeah, The Last Duel, yeah.
Oh, not the Spielberg film with the...
No. This is like a medieval...
Comer. Yeah.
It's Jodie Comer, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, everyone with outrageous hair.
It's the film that came out the same year as House of Gucci, but House of Gucci got all the airtime. But The Last Duel was the better film, from what I've heard. Shame.
They filmed a lot of it. They filmed a lot of it in Ireland. They all stayed around because they filmed it during COVID. Because I remember being at home and everybody being like, "Oh my God, Matt Damon's down the road." Like, okay, great, yeah.
Oops.
Sure he is. That's a lie, but it was true.
Well, I mean, I know that's probably relevant for Simon, but also for those of you listening, I'm seeing The Gladiator being re-released everywhere in the UK, or I'm guessing it's going to be the same everywhere in the world.
Are they
people are sharing?
Theaters?
So they have venues.
If you guys are up for it, I'd see it on the big screen.
I mean, I just watched this. I'm not sure, but maybe with Simon. Yeah.
Well, if you were up for seeing it, I'd see it. On
I'm
the
up
big
for
screen.
it.
So
I need that full bass
'Cause I feel like if we
for
watch
Hans
it-
Zimmer, you know.
like yeah,
Oh no,
I
it's
know,
Harry Gregson Williams this time.
Oh, is
round,
it?
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
Oh well, then he copied Hans Zimmer from Pirates of the Caribbean, or the other way around.
Yeah, I know Picture House is showing it. I'm guessing
Ah,
Prince
cool.
Charles. Yeah, so it's
Nice.
showing around. Yeah, the scene. So if you haven't seen the first one in a while, maybe go check it out.
Cheeky Picture House Finsbury Park date, Simon.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
check out your local
Oh wait,
cinema.
are you talking about rewatching number 1 at the cinema?
Yeah.
Oh right, okay, yeah, I'll be up for that. Sorry, I thought you meant watching number 2. Yeah.
Well, the second one is coming out November
Pretty soon,
15th,
yeah.
I want to say.
Middle of November,
so
yeah.
we're definitely going to share a reaction scene, if not the next episode, the episode after, potentially.
Probably the episode after.
The episode after.
We haven't even discussed what we're going to do for the next episode.
Yes, the next
We
episode.
normally do that.
I think it's a normally film, like a normal film tab, maybe.
Yeah.
We can have a think. But we didn't even get to Beetlejuice that I had
No.
thoughts about. But anyway, it was fun. Yeah, so we're going to have a think about the next final scene. But yeah, I don't know. Any parting thoughts?
I've got an endless note on my phone of like films that people recommend to me that I want to watch coming up. And
You
I've
could
got
use that as a-
Nanjum Pike
What?
Don't know that.
documentary. God Help the Girl, Don't Forget to Go Home, a film about Berlin club culture. A film called Weekend, a film called Of an Age.
These are films I've never heard
Yeah,
of in my
neither
life.
have I.
And okay. I love this for you, Simon. I mean,
Yeah.
you said you're on Letterboxd, right? You
Yeah.
should be an influencer there. I think people are gonna love you over there. Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll publish it.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna figure out the next scene. We're gonna next final scene, and we're gonna announce it in the next episode. But yeah, I mean, in the meantime, go out there and rewatch Gladiator 1. Just go have
Yeah.
fun.
Prep yourself.
Prep yourself, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See ya.
See ya.
Strength and honor.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Bye bye.
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.